Raging River. Let's talk about it.
All right. Whenever one or more creatures you control attack, the defending player divides all creatures without flying they control into a left pile and a right pile. Then, for each attacking creature you control, choose left or right. That creature can't be blocked except by creatures with flying and with creatures in the pile with the chosen label. So you got creatures with flying, then none of this fun happens, and whatever. They get to go on either side of the river. Lore wise, the idea is that you put your creatures on each side of the river, and then they can only block creatures on the same side of the river. The blocking player picks first, and then the attacking player picks. Now, here's where we go a little insane, is that if you have more than one on the battlefield, the lore of each side of the river kind of completely falls apart. At which point you then have to start to track left and right for each decision. And then they have to match exactly. And that's kind of hard to understand until we've run a few examples. But lore-wise, it actually means that if you have two raging rivers on the battlefield, you actually have your second raging river is two rivers because you've got one on each side of your first river.
Okay, so before we get too deep into this, what do you have sources for how you're reaching this adjudication for the people at home?
Yes, there's a cranial insertion archive.
Just for the people who want to do their own research, we should say for the record that Tigner is in fact a magic judge that we often employ at events, and I trust his judgment on these things, but just for the purposes
I am an L1 judge, and there was a way that I thought that it was, but I decided to go ahead and look for a higher source here because it is kind of confusing to process.
Man, what is this? What is this WordPress?
Yeah, this is cranial insertion. And this article is written by Ed Scheffrin, who is a very well-known high. I actually think he's the rules manager now, but I think he was a level 3 judge at the time this article was written, way back in 2012. And then you have two raging rivers. What happens when each attack? So your opponent will split the non-flyers into a left pile and right piles. Then you'll do the same. When the second trigger resolves, you'll do it all over again, and a second independent set of blocking restrictions will get applied based on the first ones. So basically, if in your first decision...
Hold up. Created based on the new piles? Oh, no.
Yeah, based on the new... Right. Well, they're saying the new piles for the new piles chosen for the second trigger. Like you set them in one pile for the first trigger, and then you set them in different sets of piles for the second trigger, and then they become separate ones. So the easier way to manage this, if you're going to do it, is essentially you want to keep track of what the decision is for each creature for each trigger.
Okay. So for a second, I thought you were saying that the piles were like nested, so you're choosing left and right for each individual pile. But what you're actually describing is like a set of like variables for each instance of the trigger, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Each instance of the trigger has its own decision, left or right, that is completely independent of the decisions that you made for it.
Yeah, you have left, right 1, left, right 2. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, this is becoming more manageable. For a second, I was like, because I originally thought when Denny asked me, my instinct is that this process would overwrite the previous time you did it. So any number of triggers would be the same as one trigger. I have a further question about what I might do as a defending player to sort of undermine multiple triggers of Raging River, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We haven't figured.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but there's not much.
Okay, so you got multiple triggers of Raging Rivers means that you have to separate into left and right piles multiple times, which with each left and right pile being like a unique entity.
Yep.
The way I think of it is like you're adding axes to a graph of left and right, which is probably not like a helpful way to think of it, but it helps me.
Yeah, if that's the way you process it, then yeah, that's one way to think about it. An easier way, if you have any concept of binary is that you're just adding one digit onto a binary word.
Nope. Doesn't help me at all. Hey, so here's my question, okay? And this is where we stopped the conversation and moved it over to the stream. So my opponent has 4 Raging Rivers in play because they're a psychopath, right?
Okay.
And he attacks me.
Right.
Can't I just choose the same piles 4 times in a row and effectively eliminate his quadruple Raging Rivers?
No, because each of the decisions applies independently. So if you choose right for the first decision and then right for the second decision, then your opponent, in order to get through, can choose an a different one at either decision. So that, if they choose
choose second. First, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They choose second. Yep. And that's kind of the trickiest part about how this plays out is that you decide. Everybody decides. You decide yours for the first trigger. Then the attacking player decides theirs for the first trigger, and then you decide for the second trigger. And so when you're deciding that, you know already what your restrictions are for the first trigger, and so you have to keep that in mind when making your decisions for the second trigger. But again, because you're deciding first, your opponent then gets to have even more information when they make their decision for the second trigger.
Okay, so all right, here's what I got for you. I'll bring my webcam over.
So we're going to need 4 sets of die. Most likely there we go. All right, you're ready to go.
Okay, so Raging River trigger number 1 is blue, right?
Okay, trigger number 1 is blue. So you're the defending player. Let's play through your scenario where you put everybody on the same side.
Yeah, it goes off the rails right away, right? So
yeah, relatively quickly.
My thought was I would just do that 1 1 2 2 4 times. Hold on, let me fix the camera setup over here.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's big and everyone can see it. My thought is I would do. Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll say that two is left and 1 is right.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, you got 2 on the right, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. So I, as the attacking player, will go ahead and follow suit and choose the exact same sets for your first decision here.
So that's 1 1 2 2. This is Raging River trigger number 1.
Yep. So at this point, we've got 2 combinations like the blockers. It's not that much restriction going on. Now we'll process the second trigger.
All right, so second trigger, which is going to be red. So this is where things go off the rails with how I thought it was going to work, right? Because I'm going to do the same thing. Like that.
Like that. Okay. So now on mine, it looks like you do not have any combinations. For my ones that I've decided 1 for the first decision, I can just decide 2 now.
Yeah, you can make, if you set it up in this way, or if I set it up in this way, it allows you to make your creatures completely unblockable.
Correct. At this point, now none of my creatures have the same combination as your creatures, and you just can't block.
Right, because they have to exactly match each time for each configuration of Raging River.
Correct. Exactly. At this point, we've processed 2 triggers, and the rest of the triggers don't matter.
Because I can't go back and fix this. It's okay. So, all right, let's try and discuss optimal blocking strategies.
So yeah, there is an optimal way to do it, but it doesn't buy you a whole lot.
Oh man, these dice are inadvertent commercial, but these dice are really nice. Oh man, oh, they're so nice to look at and touch. All right,
sell them products.
Yeah.
So the optimal way to do it is you want to split as many times as possible.
Yeah, I figured as much, right? You get maximum coverage.
Right. So you'll choose 2 2 and 1 1.
All right, so this is the first set of blockers. And then for my second set, I would want to go 1 2 2 2.
Yep.
1 1 2/1, right? Like that's the optimal setup.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I was describing. I was just
Okay.
saying it in a different way. Um, so now I, as the attacker, can go ahead and follow what you do the same way because I still cannot yet deviate to evade.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and do the same set of decisions.
So right now we're looking at 4 paths for the people playing at home.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if we were to stop here and there were only 2 triggers, you can see there's each creature can only block one other creature.
Yep.
So now, if we apply the third one here for
Oh
your third
boy.
trigger,
Here we go.
here we go. So,
All right, so it's 2 times 2 times 2, which means it's 8 possible combinations,
correct. Yep.
and I only have 4 instances here, which means I'm not
Correct.
going to be able to cover all my bases.
You're not going to be able to cover all your bases. That is correct.
So I can go 1 2 1 2, but it doesn't matter.
It sure doesn't. So now I can look at this and say, so you've got your 1 2 2. Yeah, you got them.
Yeah, your creatures are functionally unblockable at this point, right?
Right. See now, because I can choose on my goblin all the way on your left here. Or you're doing it the opposite way. But yeah, you see what you're doing. I just choose the opposite one for the ones that currently match. I choose the opposite of what you've chosen, and you can't block.
Give them the old Infinite Raging Rivers slip, the Dominaria
Right.
special.
So, I guess mathematically it's if you have 2, you have as ever many possible combinations 2 to the power of the number of rivers that you have. So if you have 1 river, you have 2 to the 1. So that's 2 possible combinations.
Yeah.
And if you have 2 rivers, then you have 2 to the second. So you have 4 combinations. And here we've just processed 3. 2 to the third is 8.
Yeah.
In order for your creatures to be unblockable, you have to have half as many possible combinations in your as creatures of half as many possible blockers as you do combinations.
And the crazy thing about it is, if you don't have that, all of your opponent's creatures get through.
Right, exactly.
Which is kind of wild.
And even then, because your opponent picks how they do the attackers, you could also then tailor it to get your like stronger creature through. Like if you had 5 blockers right now, you would be able to block 1 creature. But if I was attacking with 4 1/1 or 3 1/1s and a 6/6, I would be able to make sure that the 1/1s is one of the ones that was blocked.
Yep. Wait, actually no, I don't. Hold on. Okay, let's game that out. I can go get a 6/6 real quick. Work that way.
That's
right,
true.
so
that
we got
is not how that works.
A 6/6 flying squid.
Sure, that's fine. Oh man, that thing's pretty. If only it wasn't a doo-doo.
Dude, I think the squid does work, man. In draft, it beats ass.
Oh yeah, I mean in draft it's fine, but it's
Yeah, no,
fine.
It's not playable in common, but that's the not playable in standard, but that's the way of the world.
So so in order to process the scenario I'm talking about, you'll also need to have 1 more human. So we're gonna swap 1 goblin for our 6/6 and add 1 more human blocker.
Okay, we would have 1 more human in this scenario.
Yes.
We're just gonna face down like that.
Okay, that's fine.
Do we want to start the whole chain over again?
No. Here's what we'll do: is we will now go ahead and put a 2 blue, 1 unread, and then a 2 on the green. So you'll see we covered another 1 here, whereas normally with the combination of the blue 2 and the red 1, we only had 1 option that we could get, but now we're covering 2 because we're hitting the green red as well.
Yeah.
So now, if you'll see here, if we go back to let's say we're making a decision on that goblin on the edge. next to the squid. Instead of that, move all those onto the squid. So instead of that goblin, we have this squid. And now, is that the way that I wanted to do it?
I mean, the squid's unblockable. He can't be blocked. So we've accomplished that part of the goal.
Yeah. No, he could be blocked by the 1/1, the one that's the face down token.
Yeah, you're right.
So maybe actually this is not. Maybe I've thought this out wrong.
Okay, so it goes 1 and 1. Is there a configuration where he can get through? There's got to be, right? Do we have a 2? We have a 2-2-1 on the board? No. So,
Well, you got to remember that they're making their decisions. So, well, yeah, because you make your decision second. So, yeah, you would follow through, I guess. So I guess you'd start off. Either way, you'd have to follow a split all the way down. So you'd either be at one of the combinations that we already have.
all right, let's game it out.
Yeah, let's game it out from the beginning.
Trying to keep my dice separate over here. Dude, this is the dream. This is exactly what I wanted. It's the madness. All right. So in this scenario, we're talking about 5 blockers and a lopsided offense with a really big squid token we're trying to get through. So
Okay.
do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. First set.
It's gonna get hard to track which one decisions we want to make here. So then on mine, I'm gonna follow suit, but I'm gonna actually put the squid into the smaller group.
Yeah, it seems right. 2, 1, 2. For the purposes of this, we want to block the squid as much as possible. Are we going?
Yeah. In the ideal world, yeah, you as the defending player want to block the squid because you don't want to take damage from a 6/6.
So we're doing it like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I want to block this squid as much as possible. So I can just go. I have to divide again.
Yep.
Yeah,
So now you got to make another set of decisions.
Yeah, this
but
is
you gotta-
rough because like,
Yep.
yeah, okay, it's not really a good outcome for me as defender going first.
So you want that to be a 2, don't you?
Which
'Cause
one
you
do I want
wanna-
to do?
No, because you want to split up your 1. So you want one. Your one that you chose 1 on the first one. You want 1 to have a 2 for the second one, and 1 to have a 1 for the
Yeah.
second.
Okay, so we're alternating coverage here.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you haven't alternated. That's the same as the one that you did on the end.
What? Oh, yeah,
You
okay, yeah,
confused
yeah.
yourself because you put yourself 1 2 1 2.
I forgot that
probably...
it's modal. It's not like just alternating. All right, so we got
Yeah.
1 2 1 2 1 1 2 2. 1 2,
Yeah.
or is it 1
Yeah,
1?
and so now you get to decide which one you want to put at this point you're going to repeat a bucket.
Okay.
One of these is going to go in the same pile as the other one. So now you got to decide which one you want to double up in.
Okay, so what I actually want to do. Oh man.
So with what you said in mind, you want to try and block the squid. Oh, but you can't. So
The squid's gonna
Yeah.
go through the path of least resistance, so I guess it doesn't matter because it's gonna go in one. It's an odd number out, so one of these piles.
yeah,
is gonna be bigger
it's
than the
already
other.
it's already locked out of the squid. So yeah, you it doesn't really matter which decision you make.
Yeah, it's the same coin toss, really.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I go like that.
Okay. So then now I will follow suit with my squid to follow because I have to match one of them.
So you're gonna
I'll
go.
put
You go
yeah,
two
put a
two,
2
right?
in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because now there's only one blocker.
Now there's only one blocker. Yep.
All right. And then
And
for
then
the
so
rest
for
of
this
these,
other two, I'll go ahead and put a 1 on there. And then so let's see, for this next one, I want to follow your decisions. So I want 2 on 2 of them and 1 on the other.
okay. So 2 and 2 of these, 1 on the other.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was thinking that too because now you've got 3 different creatures. Wait. You got 3 different creatures or 2 different creatures running up on this 1/2 and then a 1/1. Yeah, so you're starting to like actually get other stuff through as well.
Yes. Yeah, everything else will get, all but one creature will get through.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to make sure that the 6/6 is among the creatures that get through.
Okay.
And I guess the easier way to think about it is which creature will get blocked. And in that case, it's going to be the one that is going into the most repeated group. So right now, I believe that one of the goblins in the middle will be blocked.
So one of these 2.
I believe so, if I'm processing this correctly.
Okay. So now I'm on the 3rd Raging River
Yep.
on defense and trying to figure out how to play this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the point at which the squid is going to get by because he's going to be able to get past my 1 available blocker.
Correct.
So it kind of doesn't matter.
Yes.
So I basically just want to diversify as much as possible. So I can put 1 here, and I can put 1 there like that. So that's 2.
So now you're covering 2 separate groups there.
And then the rest kind of doesn't matter because I don't have duplicates.
Correct.
All right. So this is an arbitrary. That's an arbitrary decision.
Yep.
So
and then now I, for my squid, because you chose to put a 1 on your 2/2, I put a 2, and you can't block.
Yep.
And then for this first goblin here, what was
He's a
that
1
matches?
and a 2.
Let's see. Oh my brain refuses to process these.
Yes.
Oh yes, that matches that. So yeah, I would pick 2.
Let me fix the orientation here. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah. See, this is a nightmare to track.
This is amazing.
And so yeah, now I'll go ahead and choose 2 for this first one, and then you can't block. Now here's where we have a bit of a thing in that for this combination, you do have both covered.
So these 2 are getting blocked. Maybe.
Correct.
Guaranteed.
Well, one of them, yes. See, now if I were to choose to put them in the same one, now if I choose to put 1 on both of these, they can both only be blocked by 1 creature.
Right. So
So
these
that
2 are
means
being blocked.
one of
by
them
this
will
guy.
get through, and the other one, you could block 1, but the other one gets through.
Yep. And then this last guy gets home scot-free because his only match is this guy, and that's Yep. So holy moly. So you really don't need like more than 3 Raging Rivers for X equals a small number of creatures.
Correct. And like I said, mathematically the number is you need to have half as many of 2 to the number of rivers for your creatures to be unblockable.
So half as many as number
half
of
as
rivers.
Many, half as many defenders as 2 to the number of rivers.
Okay, so 2 to the X power, where X is river. You need to have half that many.
Half that many blockers. Yep.
Okay. All right. It's so good.
Yeah.
Dude, this card.
I guess half that many block. Yeah, no, man. Yeah, that's correct. Half that many blockers. Yep.
Yo, this magic card fucking rules, dude. Raging Rivers is what's up.
Well, and particularly because this means you have to have 3 rivers to make it so that 4 blockers is nothing can get through. But because it's exponential, if you then have 4 rivers, you have to have 9 blockers to be able to block.
Yeah, because the number of combinations is multiplicative. Yeah, I see what you're saying with the exponential.
Yeah, like You need 8. It gets
Oh man, I love it. And that's just
Yeah.
to block a creature of your opponent's choice.
right to block one creature of your opponent's choice.
Wow. All right. Well, I think we got everything we needed, and at this point, we're just sort of expounding on the beauty of Raging Rivers.
Yeah. So
but yeah,
get as
Taylor,
many
thank you so
copy
much.
enchantments in your deck as you can.
Yeah.
And everybody else, get as many destroy enchantments in your deck as you can.
This stream brought to you by Crosan Grip, available at your local The End Games. Stop the shenanigans before they start. All right. We're gonna go ahead and jump off the Twitch stream. Thanks everybody for coming out.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.